This video was made possible thanks to CuriosityStream. Watch TLDR ad-free and get exclusive videos from us by signing up to the CuriosityStream Nebula Bundle deal at curiositystream.com/TLDR UK. If you think back only a couple of months, Johnson was not in a good place. He was struggling to convince his own MPs that his attendance at a number of parties was law-abiding. He was presiding over an ever-worsening cost of living crisis, and he was receiving backlash for increasing national insurance. Today though, Johnson's place seems pretty secure. There don't seem to be any rumours of backbench rebellions, of letters being sent to the 1922 committee, or of government ministers lining themselves up for an inevitable leadership race. But why and how has this happened? Well, let's take a look. The best place for us to start this is with polling, as it shows us how badly Johnson was doing and whether he's been able to recover. For starters, it's clear that Johnson was in a particularly perilous position in the polls as of the beginning of this year. In early January, 73% of people said that they disapproved of the Prime Minister, compared to only 22% who said that they approved. This tracks pretty nicely with a poll of polls provided by Wikipedia, which shows that Labour achieved their greatest lead in mid-January. At one point, a poll for the Sunday Times gave them a 13% lead over the Conservatives. For the Conservatives, this was a big deal. They've been ahead in polls pretty much consistently since Johnson's election in 2019, although it is worth noting that the polls did narrow toward the end of 2020. When Putin invaded Ukraine, though, there was a quiet optimism among Conservative MPs that the war might improve Johnson's poll rating. After all, wars usually benefit incumbents by giving them a chance to look statesmanlike. Just look at what happened with Margaret Thatcher and the Falklands. Conservatives also tend to do better out of wars than Labour, just because they're perceived to be more pro-military than Labour are. And there was also hope among Tory MPs that the war would distract from Johnson's various scandals and the impending Sue Gray report, something that could only help them. And to be honest, this seems to have sort of happened. The Sue Gray report has faded into the background, and the war has created a political unity in Parliament. All UK parties support the Ukrainian forces in the invasion, so Starmer doesn't really have a way to attack Johnson in the same way he did just a few weeks or months ago. Of course, there are decisions that Johnson's made during the crisis that Starmer has criticised, such as Russian money in the UK, but these attacks are relatively limited in scope. Consequently, the polling gap has tightened slightly, mainly due to the Conservatives improving. A YouGov poll conducted between the 3rd and 4th of March showed that there was only 2% between the Tories and Labour, with the Tories on 35%, markedly higher than in early January when they were sitting at closer to 30%. Again, they're still behind, but it's a significant improvement. Nonetheless, things haven't gone perfectly for Johnson. For starters, the UK has been widely criticised for its relatively mean refugee policy, as we discussed in a recent video. At the time of writing, the UK has issued just 3,000 visas to Ukrainian refugees, and the government still requires that any Ukrainian refugee have either a family connection to the UK or a willing sponsor here. For context, Germany has admitted over 120,000 Ukrainian refugees. France has committed to welcoming 100,000 Ukrainian refugees, and Poland, which borders Ukraine, has accepted over 1.6 million. And the UK government's stinginess doesn't match the public's opinion either. The latest YouGov polling suggests that the majority of Britons want the government to do more to help Ukrainian refugees, showing that Johnson and his party are out of step with the public opinion. The Prime Minister and his party have also come under fire for their links to Russian money. Johnson himself has been criticised for allegedly forcing through a peerage for Evgeny Lebedev, the son of oligarch and former KGB agent Alexander Lebedev, and the owner of both the Evening Standard and the Independent. Last weekend, the Sunday Times reported that Johnson had forced Lebedev's peerage through, despite warnings from the head of MI6 that Lebedev represented a threat to national security. Johnson has also been unable to put distance between himself and Starmer on this issue. While Corbyn might have been anti-NATO, Starmer has made it clear that he disagrees with his predecessor, even threatening to kick out any Labour MPs that attack NATO. Anyway, you get the point. The war hasn't gone perfectly for Johnson. The most recent YouGov poll found that the gap between the Conservatives and Labour had actually widened once again to 6 points. And while Johnson's own approval ratings may have improved, he's still doing pretty badly. YouGov polling from March the 2nd gave Johnson a net approval of -36. But even if the public don't approve of Johnson's handling of the war, it does seem to have saved him from the most impending threat to his premiership, a vote of no confidence by Tory MPs. For those of you who don't know, 15% of Tory MPs, so 54 at the moment, need to send a letter of no confidence to the 1922 committee in order to trigger a leadership election. In the Partygate days, there was lots of speculation about when this number would be reached, but Ukraine has apparently dissuaded many would-be rebels. For example, the Scottish Conservative leader, Douglas Ross, has apparently withdrawn his letter, saying that the middle of an international crisis is not the time to be discussing resignation. Additionally, potential leadership candidates have stumbled. As well as receiving a police questionnaire and thereby being thoroughly implicated in Partygate, Rishi Sunak is now struggling with what seems to be the toughest cost of living crisis in recent history. The Bank of England expects inflation to rise above 7% this year, and European gas prices are at all-time highs, neither of which reflect well on the Chancellor. Liz Truss has also struggled. Truss's Instagram-heavy diplomacy has proven relatively ineffective. In fact, Russia's foreign minister described her as deaf, while a Kremlin spokesperson singled out Truss as being responsible for Putin's decision to raise Russia's nuclear threat level. Truss has also been criticised for encouraging British soldiers to unlawfully fight in Ukraine. And recent YouGov polling found that despite improving name recognition, Truss's approval ratings are pretty terrible amongst the general public, at -29%. The point is that both candidates, which were clear favourites to succeed Johnson, have definitely struggled lately. But does this mean that Johnson's safe? Well, not quite. For starters, there's still the issue of the pending police investigation and the Sue Gray report. But the war has also created a new candidate to replace Johnson, Defence Secretary Ben Wallace. Wallace has spent the last few weeks organising arms shipments to Ukraine and making powerful speeches in the House of Commons. And in February, Wallace ended Truss's year-long reign as the cabinet member with the highest approval rating among Conservative members. And his approval rating now stands at a ridiculous positive 83. While Wallace has said that he has no plans to run, his popularity will doubtless make Johnson anxious, and for good reason. All in all, while the war in Ukraine might provide some temporary respite for Johnson, it certainly hasn't saved him in any substantial sense of the word. As an inside source told the FT, Ukraine changes the subject, which helps, but it doesn't win an election. What happens now is still up in the air, and the impact of the Ukraine crisis on the entire world just isn't clear yet. In fact, we discussed the expected impact on the global economy in another video, which you can find exclusively on Nebula. That's the platform my creator friends and I have teamed up to build, where we don't need to worry about demonetization or the algorithm. Over there you can find all of our latest videos ad-free, and we've also got a bunch of content available exclusively on Nebula, which will never come to YouTube. It's not just us either. All of our favourite educational creators are already there, like Wendover Productions, Real Life Law, Polymatter, Legal, Half as Interesting, and many others. But wait, we said this video was brought to you by CuriosityStream, right? Well, as a platform full of the best documentaries online, they naturally love educational creators like us. As such, we've worked out a deal whereby if you sign up to CuriosityStream using the link in the description, you'll also get free access to Nebula. And that's not a free trial either. You'll get access as long as you're a member. To make things even better, for a limited time, they're offering a deal where you can get 26% off their already low price, making an entire year of both services less than $15. Less than $15 a year for all of your favorite educational creators, as well as superb documentaries on CuriosityStream. Signing up at curiositystream.com/TLDR UK or clicking the link down below not only gets you the deal, but also directly supports TLDR and educational content on the platform more generally, as well as getting you original content and an ad-free experience.